They thought she wouldn't dare, that she would stick to the script, rattle off a few polite criticisms, and sit down quietly like so many others before her. But Kemi Badenoch shattered that expectation like glass under pressure. What unfolded in the Commons was not just a statement, it was a political reckoning. And for the first time in months, it felt like someone had the guts to say what millions across the country have been thinking. This government is not leading, it's loitering. And Labour, tragically, is no better. The performance by the leader of the opposition in yesterday's session was not a debate, it was an evisceration. Keir Starmer didn't just lose control of the floor, he lost the moral authority he so carefully tried to curate. The moment Badenoch began, it was clear that the atmosphere in Westminster had shifted, and no amount of well-rehearsed lines or weary appeals to civility could contain what was coming. Badenoch's criticism of the Prime Minister's Middle East statement didn't just cut, it exposed. For weeks, the government has fed the public half-measures, rehearsed phrases, and diplomatic waffle. But when you strip away the spin, we're left with a government that didn't see the strikes on Iran coming, didn't know Israel's plans, and somehow wasn't even informed by its closest ally, the United States. This isn't diplomacy, it's dysfunction, and it lays bare the sheer irrelevance Britain now occupies on the world stage. Let's be clear. A prime minister who must beg his own party to stay in line is not a leader. He is a caretaker. And when that same prime minister tries to project strength on foreign affairs while his own legal advisors can't even agree on the legality of allied military action, the charade becomes farcical. When Badenoch asked, which levers are being pulled, it wasn't rhetorical theatre. It was the most damning indictment imaginable. The levers are either broken, or no one's at the controls. But what took yesterday's session from merely uncomfortable to explosive was Badenoch's forensic breakdown of the Diego Garcia debacle. For weeks, the government has spun this £30 billion agreement as strategic diplomacy. But the truth is darker, more humiliating. China, the very nation this government postures against with its Indo-Pacific tilt, has voiced support for the deal. Not just casual approval, but diplomatic praise and pledges of support. So when the Prime Minister stood before the House and claimed China opposed the agreement, what exactly was he playing at? Was he misinformed, misled, or worse, misleading? This is not a minor issue. The Diego Garcia base is a linchpin for Western operations in the Middle East. If we now find ourselves in a position where future operations require the green light of Mauritian government, backed and courted by China, we are not just undermined, we are compromised. Sovereignty isn't a slogan, it's a strategic imperative, and we bartered ours away for a press release and a pat on the back from a global competitor. And yet, as always, the Labour benches responded with awkward silence, because they can't oppose what they fundamentally agree with. For all their new talk of defence and deterrence, Labour has not moved past its historic hostility to hard power. Badenoch's final swipe, calling out their empty defence spending pledges, was a necessary reminder. Talk of 5% of GDP sounds impressive until you scratch the surface. This government can't even show how it'll fund 3%. It's a promise built on paper and propped up by press officers. The public deserves clarity, not confetti. This is not just about political gamesmanship in the Commons. This is about a national trajectory that is drifting dangerously toward mediocrity. At home, trust in political institutions is crumbling. Abroad, our allies no longer consult us, and our adversaries no longer fear us. Britain's role as a serious global actor is being hollowed out, not by a lack of resources or capability, but by a vacuum of leadership. And yet there are voices emerging who refuse to let that decline continue unchallenged. Kemi Badenoch's performance was not just cathartic, it was catalytic. It signaled that there is still a political instinct in Britain capable of cutting through the fog of managed decline. One that doesn't flinch at confrontation, that demands straight answers, and that exposes weakness where others politely avert their eyes. Politics should not be about theatre, but sometimes it takes a moment of drama to reveal a deeper truth. And the truth is this: Britain cannot afford leaders who operate in ambiguity. We cannot navigate a world of real threats and shifting alliances with ministers who hide behind process, platitudes, and press briefings. Leadership means knowing where you stand and having the courage to say it even when the room goes quiet. Yesterday, the room didn't just go quiet. It froze, because for the first time in far too long, someone spoke with a kind of clarity and courage that has been absent from British politics. Let's hope it's the beginning of something more than just a powerful speech. Let's hope it's a return of accountability.